Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Man, y'all know what time it is. T-Law got the eyes of Lee Van Cleef when he go in that field.
Checks it down underneath. That's a crossing route to Christian Kirk. 30, 25, 20, 15, 10. Christian Kirk to the goal line. Touchdown, Jacksonville.
They made a major mistake when they made T-Law go to the spirit of the sky, to the oracle of the saber-toothed tiger, and the saber-toothed tiger now held the scepter in his hand, and he been to put every critic to rest. Man, last night I done marinated 2 turkeys. I got my cherry wood getting ready for my smoker. Just got off from work, off picture roll. I'm going to bake me 2 Cornish hens. My special recipe, I call it a Mediterranean Cornish hen. I'm going to top it off with my homemade Long Island iced tea. And I'm only going to top it off with 1 red top of Coca-Cola. The Maxwell House coffee will live on forever. Duval!
1010XL 92.5 FM presents Jaguars Today with your hosts Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, and Dylan Denmark.
All right, good morning, everybody, and congratulations to Rory McIlroy for winning another Players' Championship in a 3-hole aggregate playoff that wrapped up in the last 10 minutes or so. Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, Dylan Denmark here with you. Tony, good morning. How are you?
Doing well.
Found our way back to the studio.
We did.
After a week. It's such a nice drive for me going out to the Players. Mm-hmm. It really is, man. Coming from St. Augustine, going up the beach, and there's never any traffic. Today was great because I guess for some reason, St. Patrick's Day, we close the schools down now so the kids can drink early?
I guess so. I don't know. Yeah. I'm
kidding, kids. Don't drink early, okay? Wait until the appropriate time. That's after you're 21 years old, of course. But I don't know. I don't recall St. Patrick's Day being like a day off from school kind of holiday in the past.
No, never.
In fact, that was always a day we always did like activities when we were in grade school, you know, cutting out shamrocks and things like that. So,
well, for most people, it's spring break right now. So,
oh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay, well that explains it. I did not realize that. You know, I'm a little bit ignorant about those kind of things.
I could have told you the traffic was lighter this morning.
It was definitely lighter. This morning.
I was like, okay.
Yes. For the one guy in Seattle who years ago told me there's no difference in traffic whether anyone's in school or not. Okay. You're wrong, but like why that bothered that guy so much at the time. Because I have a elementary school right in my neighborhood. And so when you come out, there's crossing guards, there's buses potentially, right? And then you get behind a bus. If you get stuck behind one, like the first 8 miles of my drive is 2-lane road net behind a bus. And it does take a little bit longer those days. I did not, my son, I guess, I think about my own schedule, Tony. My son's been back at college for a week, and he already had his spring break, so it never even dawned on me that could be the case today. So happy St. Paddy's Day to all of you out there. I do not wear green particularly. I mean, this is not really green. This is like a dark teal that I've got on today. I don't own a whole lot of green clothing. Oh, there we go. Oh,
take your phone call, please.
Yeah. Thank you. That's I know who that is. I'm not going to tell you who that is.
They didn't want to tell you Roy won the TPC.
That's a big update right there. I set an alert on my phone in case JJ Spawn got a 6 on 17 this morning. It was a little bit of a delayed thing, man. What a mess. You come out, you got a birdie 16. He parred 16. Okay, you're one down. Rory hits it on the green on 17, and then he ganked it in the water over the green, and it was it at that point in time. So great performance to get him there. and just a terrible showing this morning. But
I mean, he's still gonna be taking home almost $2 million.
Oh, look, he's absolutely right. Take me a long time in my life to make $2 million. Let me tell you that. But I wonder if we won't look back and go, who's that guy that Rory beat in the playoffs?
Winning the players is winning the players.
For like 10 years ago, if I'm still alive 10 years from now, who was that guy that finished second? I don't often remember. I remember Bob May finishing second to Tiger. Was it a PGA championship?
Yeah. Was Goido second, or was he just top 5?
Can't tell you.
But that's one of those, I only remember the name because we had someone here who couldn't get the name right on an update.
Godoyas?
He just kept, every time before he would go on with the update, I'd be like, it's Goido, and he'd go, Godoys.
That's awesome. Is that the best playoff of all time that you can recall, Tiger versus Rocco? It may have been.
That was fantastic.
Right? I mean, because it was the full 18.
Yeah.
It was the U.S. Open. It was the full 18. And Tiger had to stick that shot in there about pin high on Sunday and roll in a kind of a bumpy little, I don't know what it was, 12-footer, something like that. And made that and then beat Rocco in the playoff. That was a lot of fun back in the day, man. All that under the umbrella of 1010XL. We've been around for a long time.
We have,
I do recall that. All right, so today for your Jacksonville Jaguars, it definitely, we can all take a breath now we don't want any more veterans blocking the way of the draft picks, Tony. I don't see the Jags going out there doing anything of significance. They may pick up a guy here and there, but as James Gladstone said last week, why get a veteran pass rusher who's just going to get in the way of, if we take one, of getting that guy on the field? Well, maybe because that veteran has shown he can get the job done at this level. And if we want to compete right now, I heard what Dan Hicken said this morning. I agree with him. This division's there for the taking right now. Houston's offensive line is a big, big question mark. They lose Stephon Diggs. Yeah, they brought in Christian Kirk. And I get it. Diggs wasn't there the whole year last year. But Stephon Diggs and Tank Dell, they'll draft and do whatever. I'm sure they're going to be the Jags' biggest competition, or you can look at it this way. The Jags should be their biggest competition because they've gone out and won the division the last couple times. But, Tennessee had the worst team in the league. They don't know who their quarterback's going to be. Daniel Jones might be looked at to be the savior in Indianapolis this year. And, they've had some personnel turnover as well. There's no reason why the Jags should not be competing for the AFC South title in 2025. Agree or disagree?
Agree. And I've felt that way basically since the offseason began. I didn't know what was going to happen with coach, GM, all these different things. But since they have very much said we're going in a different direction with what we're doing in the front office and the coaching staff on this team, I still believe, I don't think this is a team that the roster says they should be picking 5th, right? Like, I do think they're better than that. And in the AFC South, the path to winning the division is as easy as there is in the league, at least on paper.
On paper, sure.
Going in, who knows what's going to happen in reality when we get these teams all out on the field and see what happens. But both the South divisions in both conferences kind of feel that way to me. Like, if you're in the NFC South, your goal should be, we can catch Tampa, right? Why couldn't we? Atlanta had them caught going into Week 18 last year.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's not like the bar is all that high in either of these South divisions in the National Football League. At least it doesn't appear to be that high. And look, if you still believe that Trevor Lawrence can be one of the top 10 quarterbacks in the league, then why can't that be in 2025? If you still believe that Josh Hines-Allen can be a top 10 to 15 edge rusher in the league with Trayvon Walker on the other side of him, why can't that be a big dividend at some point for this football team? There are things that are on the team at key positions that the Jags seem to be pretty set at some very key spots on their roster right now. So why shouldn't they be able to compete for the division here?
Well, obviously Trevor Lawrence's play is going to have a great say in the matter. I don't know if he needs to be a top 10 quarterback this year, though. I don't honestly know how.
I don't think you have to be that to win the South.
That's what I'm saying, right? To win the South, I don't know if C.J. Stroud's a top 10 quarterback. I would say he's not going into the year.
Like, that's more the discussion of that's where we expected Trevor Lawrence to get, was in that top 5 to 10 range in the National Football League. And if you still think that that's a real possibility for Trevor Lawrence, why wouldn't they compete for the AFC South this year?
Sure. But
Right.
even if Trevor ends up being like the 15th best quarterback in the league, depends on what the rest of the team around him does. I think there's somewhere
That's good enough to
in
win
that
the
top
AFC
half of
South.
the league,
Yeah.
right? Isn't good enough to be a competitor. Because you look right now, Josh Allen's better, right? What's Tua compared to Trevor Lawrence?
About the same to me.
Okay, I might lean Tua's direction if healthy, and that's a big factor. Let's call that a push. All right, Lamar, no question. Joe Burrow, no question to me anyway.
Yeah.
We'll call Stroud a push for purposes of this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously Mahomes, right?
Yep.
Herbert's interesting, right? Trevor and the Jags beat him head to head.
They do.
Most people in the NFL would take Herbert over Lawrence.
Sure.
You think that's fair? I think that's
it's fair,
right? Bo Nix. I can
just
see
one
it.
year. That's the
Right.
Stroud thing.
I'm not going to
making
give it to Bo
any.
Nix.
Yeah, I'm not making any declarations about any rookie
I'm not making
going
it
into year 2.
But between Bo Nix and Herbert, is it fair to say you give the vote like to Herbert? Would you say Herbert is expected to be better than Trevor Lawrence this year in most people's minds?
Most people's minds.
All right, that would put him at 6. That's just the AFC. Hurts, obviously, right? Daniels, right? There's another one. That's 8.
the year 2 thing, but yeah.
Okay, maybe, but I mean, based on what he did last year,
I get it.
It's fantastic.
I mean, I get it, but so was Stroud, right?
Sure.
And then year 2 happened.
Right,
and
but you could say, well, what's Trevor been, right? I mean,
no, I get it, but I understand that's what the thought for most people is going to be, is to have these rookies going into year 2 still ahead of X on a bunch of these lists, and we'll see, right? Like, I don't think 1 year is near enough time to know much about what a player's professional career is going to look like.
I don't know what it'll be, but if I'm betting right now,
Daniels,
right? I mean, look, you can make. Let's just put it this way.
I'm not saying I'm putting Trevor Lawrence ahead of Daniels on a list right now.
You can make arguments for Dak Prescott, right? Yeah. Jared Goff, right? With the weapons and the way he's been playing. I mean, Goff was outstanding last year, right?
Sure.
Who else we got here? Baker Mayfield, right? Baker was great last year. I mean,
he was.
Right now, I'd have to put Baker ahead of Trevor based on recent trending performance. Matt Stafford. Right?
Okay.
Would you be shocked if Kyler Murray had a better year than Trevor Lawrence at the end of the? You know what I mean? Like, so there are a lot of guys in that group that, maybe he'll end up being better than this guy, but maybe this guy will have a better year than him. I just don't think. I don't think you have to get anywhere near top 10 necessarily to win this division.
No, I don't think you have to be in that kind of range. I think Trevor Lawrence is still very much capable of being that.
I agree with that as well.
Right, and that's the preface for me is, if you still believe Trevor Lawrence is capable of being that level of quarterback in the league, then why can't they win the South?
Sure.
Pretty much every year he's here, why can't they win the division? Until some other quarterback in the division shows consistently they're going to be that kind of player, which hasn't shown up yet. We'll see if C.J. Stroud turns into one of those kind of players. Like, I'm not saying Stroud is done as the quarterback in Houston because he had a kind of year
think Trevor's
2.
in a group with a bunch of guys like Stroud, like Kyler Murray, like like Baker, perhaps.
Yeah.
Although right now I'd put Baker ahead of him. That if any one of them turned out to have the best season, you shouldn't be shocked.
No.
Right? But but by the same token, somebody in that group's got to have the worst season relative to the other ones as well. Sure. And that doesn't necessarily make him a bad quarterback. Today we're going to hear from, as we heard a lot from James Gladstone at the end of the week last week, a bunch of the players spoke to the media. We were out of the players, didn't have a chance to get around to it. So we'll hear a selected quote or two from some of the new Jaguar signings today. Your Chad and Sandy real estate question of the day in honor of St. Patrick's Day, asking you, what is the luckiest moment in the history of the Jacksonville Jaguars? Is it A, simply being awarded a franchise, right? The luckiest thing that ever happened. Is it B, Morton Anderson's miss that propelled the Jags into the 96 playoffs, won a couple of playoff games, and really set the spark for the entirety of the first 5 years, that 1990s run that they had? Is it the David Garrard to Mike Thomas Hail Mary to beat the Houston Texans on the final play of that game? Or was it Frank Gore's seemingly meaningless first down that ensured a Jets victory at the end of their game against the Rams back in, what was it, 20, would it have been, what year?
2020.
2020 for the game, but 2020 for the draft for Trevor, right?
No, the COVID. He got drafted in April 2021.
21. All right, 21 with the so 2020 against the Rams, and the Jets. Keep in mind, we're 0-13 at the time. They had nothing to play for other than draft position themselves.
Oh, yeah.
And went out there, and Frank Gore got that first down, enabling the Jaguars to secure the first pick in the draft. It didn't lock it in at that moment, but it put them in the driver's seat, and they would never relinquish that. And, of course, that pick turned out to be Trevor Lawrence. Obviously, your feelings about Trevor Lawrence as a long-term franchise quarterback for this team will factor in to how you feel about where that one ranks for you. So we'll talk about that a little bit today as well. If you want to be a part of the program, 641-1010 on the phone lines or on the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures. Hop in the YouTube virtual studio chat. If you like, give us a little feedback and interact with the program that way, or on social media at MD_1010XL, at 1010XL Fat Tony, and at 1010XL Denmark.
Rory, give me back my phone.
Was he on the mic when he said that, or was it that just a scream from the back? Was your mic actually on when you did that?
Was it? I think it was.
Was it? Okay. I heard you clearly, because I knew you were yelling. Did Rory not give you your phone back? I know he was confiscating
he didn't take my phone. I never saw him. When I went out there Friday, he had already played.
Okay.
So that was kind of a bummer, but.
Well, we're glad you got to enjoy. Did you post up? Were you like a mini celebrity out there?
No.
Do you wear a hat that says Dylan Denmark?
No.
I'm kind of a big deal.
Sir. No, sir. I wear my player's bucket hat that you see me when I golf. And
so you blend in.
All over the place. Yeah.
You blend in, right? Hacker goes, I've heard he tweets out this weekend, I've heard a number of people come up and recognize me at the airport. Dude literally posts a picture of himself at the airport, and his hat says Hacker on the front of it. How did they recognize you? It's shocking. Unbelievable. All right. Jaguars Today, off and rolling. Congrats to Rory. We got to take a timeout. This is 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Jaguars Today.
From the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios of 1010XL. Play-by-play just makes everyday life better.
I did not see this one coming.
Get the most play-by-play on 1010XL. Jacksonville's play-by-play sports radio.
Are you an experienced chiller technician and looking for a role where your skills are truly valued? It's time to make the move to Local 234, plumbers, pipe fitters, and HVAC technicians. You'll get top pay, comprehensive health and welfare benefits for your family, and a pension that doesn't come out of your pocket. Join the team that's got your back. Local 234, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Visit UA234.com to send your resume today.
Equal opportunity employer.
Jags fans, here's your chance to score a trip to Green Bay for round one of draft night. Through the Everbank Draft Night Experience Sweepstakes, one lucky winner and a guest will be there live and in person to see the Jaguars make their first pick. To enter, visit everbank.com/draft by April 4th. That's everbank.com/draft. No purchase necessary to enter or win. Open to legal residents of the United States and D.C. 18 and older. Entry period from 3/3/25 to 4/4/25. For official rules, prize description, odds of winning, and other details, visit everbank.com/draft. Sponsored and administrator, Everbank N.A.
You know, Mr. Chubby's Wings is giving away free beer again this year for the Madness Tournament.
Do they really give you a free pint of Miller Lite for each game you pick right?
Yes, all you got to do is fill out your bracket now at 1010XL.com. The overall winner gets tickets to Welcome to Rockville on Saturday. But for free beer, just download your bracket, print it out, and bring it into any Mr. Chubby's Wings location during the games. Every game you pick right, you get a free beer.
Go to 1010XL.com now. It's the free beer Chubby Madness Bracket Challenge. See Mr. Chubby's Wings Facebook for full contest details.
Dream Finders Homes Monday.
Jaguars Today.
Do the Garber wiggle, Garber wiggle, 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 Garber wiggle.
Garber Auto Mall is home of the lifetime warranty. Every new Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Chevy, Buick, GMC, and Ford comes with a lifetime warranty. At Garber Auto Mall, your purchase is covered for life. Visit us in Green Cove Springs or at GarberAutomall.com. And remember, at Garber Auto Mall, there's always a little room for wiggle.
Garber wiggle, Garber wiggle, 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 Garber wiggle.
Denny Thompson here. You've got to check out Tyson's Showroom Home Theater with surround sound and comfy theater chairs. You can transform your living room into a cinematic experience. I can stay there to watch all my games. It's that comfortable. Call Tyson today and bring the theater experience home. Tyson Sound and Security, your security, home theater, and home automation experts. New showroom at 3555 U.S. Highway 17 in Fleming, Iowa.
What does your dream backyard look like? Hey, it's Joe C. and my friends at CSS Fireplaces and Outdoor Living can design an outdoor kitchen layout custom built to your taste and lifestyle. You dream it, they can build it. CSS Fireplaces and Outdoor Living. Visit cssoutdoor.com.
I'm Max Fink, and I'll bring you the Gator Report several times weekly to keep you connected to Gainesville.
The Gator Report, put together by San Jose Collision on the home of the Florida Gators, 1010XL.
Go, Gator! Hey, Hicken here, or just call me Dreamfinders Danny. For a limited time to ring in the new year, Dreamfinders Homes is offering an amazing 4.99% fixed interest rate. Now's your chance to lock down that rate and get in the game. You heard me right. It's 4.99 fixed interest rate on select move-in ready homes. Visit dreamfindershomes.com for sales event information and get in the game. Interest rate available on select move-in ready homes. Restrictions and limitations apply. Go to dreamfindershomes.com for more details.
Hi, I'm Mac with Baker Glass. If you've got fogged up windows, let me help. We'll replace them with clear, insulated units that brighten up your home. People say we're fast, friendly, and reliable. Just check out our Google reviews. Call me today. Baker Glass. No one treats you better.
Homeowners, listen up. It's time to start fresh in 2025. Prosser here, and Loan Pronto is here to help take control of your finances in 2025 by lowering your house payments and consolidating that nagging debt. Did you know that 9 out of 10 borrowers get a better deal by calling Loan Pronto? Right now, Loan Pronto has some of the most competitive offers for refis, debt consolidation, and purchase loans, starting in the low 5s APR. If your current rate is over 6%, don't settle for paying too much. Even if you're in process with another lender, call Loan Pronto now. Lock in at a lower rate today and close in as little as 2 weeks, often with no appraisal. You can even skip your next 2 house payments. It's fast, easy, and hassle-free. Get your personalized Loan Pronto rate quote instantly with no hard credit pull and no upfront fees. Call now, 904-999-1508, or go to loanpronto.com. That's 904-999-1508. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLS consumeraccess.org.
Navy Mutual would like to salute all Medal of Honor recipients that have been given our nation's highest award. In 1990, Congress designated March 25th as National Medal of Honor Day, and it was signed into law by President George H.W. Bush.
Committed to the mission. At Navy Mutual, we're committed to providing high-quality life insurance to members of the military and their families. Because at Navy Mutual, our highest commitment is to you. Visit NavyMutual.org.
Hello, I'm attorney Malcolm Anthony. Being charged with domestic violence can turn your life upside down. If you're in trouble, call me, Malcolm Anthony, at 285-4LAW. That's 285-4LAW.
Duck Duck Air Conditioning is here to save the day with a free AC system inspection. Call now, 904-862-6769. Duck Duck Air Conditioning, duckduckac.com. Any required repairs are not included in the inspection.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
All right, happy Monday. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Congrats again. Rory McIlroy wins the 3-hole aggregate playoff over J.J. Spawn to take home the Players' Championship trophy for the second time, keeping some big names at the 4 on that winner's list. Scotty Scheffler never really in it. How nice would it be, Tone, to be so good that you're never really in it and you're just kind of parring your way around the stadium course? You know, you just can't quite get there, not making enough putts, and that's the thing. The putter's got to be hot.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much to win any tournament on the PGA Tour. But congrats again to Rory McIlroy. All right, focus our attention on your Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, coming up, we'll hear, not in the next 10 minutes, but we will hear in this hour from some of the new Jaguar signees, part of the free agent class that James Gladstone, Liam Cohen, and Tony Baselli collaborated on to bring in together. So, Tony, I was looking this weekend, and this is something we're going to talk about today, but we decided to push it off because of St. Patrick's Day. We went with the theme of the luckiest moment in Jaguar history, but we'll get into some options for the Jags on Wednesday, which is our mock draft day anyway, so it'll be appropriate there for the 5th pick, depending on how the top 4 selections go. You may be sitting there going, we're going to get this guy, or it's going to be a choice between these guys. Well, the teams ahead of you have some say in the matter. Obviously, the best thing for the Jags would be for multiple quarterbacks to go in the top 4 picks. At this point in time, how confident are you that we will see multiple quarterbacks? Like, give me a percentage. I think we both agree Cam Ward more to lock to go in the top 4 picks. Would you agree with that?
I would.
Okay, so he's off the board. How likely is Shedeur Sanders to join him in that group? Presuming he'll end up being the number 2 on most boards.
Like 50-50 in my mind, something like that.
Seems reasonable, right? Like one of the things, you got to watch the little revolving door that we have at quarterback right now, right? You've got Aaron Rodgers. Will he go to the Giants? Doesn't seem like he really wants to. The reporting seems to indicate he'd desire Minnesota. We don't know that Minnesota desires him. Pittsburgh may be the fallback for him there. So let's say Rodgers ends up with Pittsburgh. Minnesota sticks with J.J. McCarthy as the presumptive starter this year. Cleveland did trade for Kenny Pickett, but I don't feel like, by the way, hilarious that Myles Garrett is like, oh, it's always been all about winning.
All right,
come on, man. Yeah. Could you blatantly lie more?
When you lied at one or the other.
Right. When you wanted out and you said because you wanted a better chance to win, and then they said, no, we'll pay you $40 million. Well, it was never about the money. It's always about winning. Why do you want out to begin with?
Yeah.
Right? Because now they have less money to pay other talented players to put around you. Anyway, it's just silly. But Cleveland does have Kenny Pickett. And, former first-round pick, but I don't think he's the answer. Then again, who knows if Cleveland knows the path to the answer, right?
Sure.
The Giants may be hoping that they get Aaron Rodgers in. And that doesn't, by the way, if you get Aaron Rodgers, it doesn't completely rule out selecting a quarterback. But I think it's a hard sell. Hey, Aaron, would you like to play for the Giants? Yeah, what are you going to do with that 3rd pick? Right? Like, I'm not signing here if you're going to just draft a quarterback at 3. And I want to win as much as I can in the final couple of years that I have. The reports are he wants to play 2 years. Now, Aaron Rodgers doesn't get to run the Giants, but that's got to be part of the negotiation. I would be surprised if they signed Aaron Rodgers, but if they did sign him, I'd be surprised if they signed him and then went with a top 3 pick.
I would too.
And took him, right? So, again, Aaron Rodgers goes to Pittsburgh. What are the Giants doing at quarterback? They got Tommy Cutlitz right there now, Tommy DeVito. That's what they have, basically. Doesn't mean they have to take one at 3. They could trade back, potentially, and get one. And New England's not going to take a quarterback.
No.
Because they have Drake May. All right, so let's say either Tennessee takes Cam Ward, or if Tennessee trades back, because some people have suggested the Giants could move up to number 1, give Tennessee a package, and Tennessee moves off of Cam Ward. I don't see Tennessee moving back and taking Shedeur Sanders. Like, to me, like, if you like Shedeur Sanders enough that you would take him 3rd overall, who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they'll see not an inch of difference between him and Cam Ward. I don't think that'll be the case. I think if Tennessee trades back, they're taking a different position, right? So, all right, let's say Tennessee or the Giants take Cam Ward. Cleveland goes Abdul Carter. Giants go Travis Hunter at that pick. And New England takes Will Campbell, Tet McMillan, you name the guy. All right. There's still players that the Jags would be interested in that selection. In that scenario, how far does Shedeur Sanders fall in the NFL draft? Probably at some point in the year he was being talked about as, I don't know about the presumptive number 1 pick, but it doesn't feel like he's even in play for the number 1 pick at this point in time.
No.
Is Vegas going to take him? I don't know if they will. They just signed Geno Smith to a 3-year extension.
Right.
Pete Carroll's 70-whatever years old. Is he wanting to win as much as he can immediately? I feel like that's the direction the Raiders are going in, right?
Certainly, yeah.
Jets signed Justin Fields. Now, maybe they take Shedeur Sanders, but Fields is on a reasonable deal. But they could get out of it after 1 year, basically 1 year, $30 million. So they're a candidate to do it, but are they a lock to do it? I don't think so. So you get by the Jets. Is Carolina going to do it? I think Bryce Young showed enough at the end of the season.
Yeah, probably not. Yeah.
Right? That they're going to.
I can't imagine they're pulling the trigger on changing quarterbacks at this point.
I wouldn't think so,
Yeah.
right? I mean, they benched Bryce Young and he came back and he actually played decently well.
It's fine.
Is New Orleans taking him at 9? Maybe. Right? I mean, Derek Carr, they keep restructuring the deal and pushing dollars into the future. Eventually, that bill's going to come due. And the way it's set up right now, Derek Carr is going to be the starter for this year, but that's okay. I mean, if Shedeur Sanders starts to slide, there may be a case where he's better suited to sit behind somebody for a year, and get into a better situation that way. So maybe New Orleans at 9? Chicago's not taking him, right?
No. San Francisco's not taking
I don't
him.
imagine, but what if they can't come to terms with Brock Purdy and Brock Purdy goes into his lame duck season here? Would they possibly? It'd be hard to imagine.
I don't think they would still. I can't imagine that's the scenario that's going to play out with everything they're doing to clear up all kinds of money to, obviously, it feels like, make this Purdy thing work. Like they're willing to let go of a bunch of the key pieces that they've had around to be San Francisco for the last 5 or 6 years. And it all seems like it's pointed towards, we got to do this because we finally got to bite the bullet on paying the quarterback. Right? Like that's what the whole thing feels like. So I don't expect that to be the way the whole thing plays out.
Dallas not doing it, right?
No.
I mean, look, there'll be some people that say, well, Jerry did consider Dion as the head coach. And if you drafted Shedeur, Dion could be your fallback if it doesn't work out with Schottenheimer after a year or two. I mean, he could be, but you're also paying Dak Prescott like the highest quarterback contract of anyone in the National Football League.
Yeah.
Miami, not going to do it.
No.
They've committed money. Indy.
That's interesting.
Would Indy do it? After taking Anthony Richardson at 4, signing Daniel Jones this offseason, are they going to bring a third guy into the mix? Because then the death certificate is, the ink's dry on it, on Anthony Richardson in Indy.
Yeah.
At that point in time.
Given the way that they're handling the quarterback position right now, I put nothing past Indianapolis. Right. And if Shedeur Sanders was going to be available there in the middle of the first round, it wouldn't surprise me all that much if that's the direction they went.
Quite frankly, I would love it because he's probably not going to help Indy this year. I don't know how much he'd help them long term, but it would mean that they don't have a clue what they're doing at the quarterback position. Right. They just don't know, and they're throwing darts at it. Atlanta's not going to do it. They have Penix. Arizona's not going to do it with Kyler. Cincinnati's not going to do it. Now, Seattle can get out of Sam Darnold's contract after
Very
1 year.
interesting, yeah.
Right? The way it's structured, 1 year, like $37 million. If he works, great. If he doesn't work, got Shedeur Sanders sitting there waiting. You'd almost have to say this will be a 1 year deal in that scenario with Sam Darnold, and he'll make his $37 million, and then Shedeur will get the shot next year. Tampa's not going to do it. Denver's not going to do it. Pittsburgh at 21 certainly could do it.
They could. Yep.
Even if drafting Rodgers in that scenario. So, and the point being, Shedeur Sanders could go 2. Really, he could. Or he could fall into the 20s in this draft. It's very interesting. I mean, obviously, from a Jaguar standpoint, we got to root for him to go as high as possible. Hey, by the way, Jackson Dart, go rip it up at your pro day. Oh, right. I mean, I'm not opposed. I don't care who it is. Just give me 2 quarterbacks in the top 4. I don't suspect Jackson Dart's going to jump up that high tone, but I do wonder if the game of chicken is played, that a lot of these teams say, I don't have to spend my first-round pick on a quarterback. I'll wait and I'll take Jackson Dart, or I'll take Quinn Ewers. I don't know how teams feel about Quinn Ewers or Jalen Milroe or Tyler.
Yeah.
Is it Shuck? I thought it was Shao. I hadn't seen him play, and then I heard him talking about him on TV, and I thought that's how they pronounced it.
I was just looking at mock drafts that have come in here in the last couple of days and talking about Jackson Dart specifically.
Yes.
I saw PFF, John Costco over there, had a mock draft that he put out this morning that he has the Titans trading down to 3 and taking Jackson Dart.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's am I saying that's likely, or is Tony saying that's likely? I don't think that's the likely scenario.
Mm-hmm.
But when people out there listening go, Jackson Dart, I haven't heard his name in the top 10. Well, start looking at some of these mocks because I've seen him mock to the Jets at 7.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And they had the quarterbacks going 1, 2, 3 in that mock.
Is that right? Oh.
Sanders came off to Cleveland at 2, and Dart to Tennessee. They're at 3. The Giants are the ones that traded up to 1.
All right, so who did the Patriots take then?
The Patriots at 4 take Will Campbell.
Oh, so we could have Travis Hunter,
and that's who the
or
Jags
Mason
took.
Graham, or Ted McMillan,
and that's
or Abdul Carter.
Yeah, it went
poll
Jags,
incoming.
5 went with Hunter. The Raiders at 6, Tech McMillan. The Jets at 7, Abdul Carter. Mason Graham went to Carolina at 8.
That's crazy. I don't think it's going to happen that way.
That seems very unlikely, but
quarterback,
still, it's kind of fun to think about.
Quarterback sickness, man. At this point in time, I mean, Kenny Pickett, hey, Myles Garrett, we're going to roll with Kenny Pickett. You cool with that? I got $40 million. I'm cool with whatever. All right.
By the way, that's the kind of scenario the Jags are going to have, I think, for Hunter to actually be there at 5. Like 2 quarterbacks minimum, I think, have to come off.
I think 2.
3 would be even better for them in that kind of, like, I don't know. Even New England, I don't know why they would bypass the opportunity for a Travis Hunter.
Unless they feel like they've got to get offensive line help or left tackle.
Like it's just, I still think it's highly unlikely, even when 2 quarterbacks come off the board, that Hunter's going to be available to him at 5, but I think it's a requirement for it to happen.
I would agree with all that, right? But there are different ways that teams can go about it,
the draft is the draft.
And it could absolutely happen that way. There are plenty of guys that we never thought would be available. Josh Allen, for instance. And, the circumstance, all it takes is one harebrained pick, potentially, or one little unexpected pick to make it happen. All right, we got to take a time out here. When we return, we're going to hear from Jordan Lewis and a bunch of his new Jaguar teammates as they spoke last week to the assembled media down at the Miller Electric Center. Our Chat and Sandy real estate question of the day, poll form on the X platform. Happy St. Patrick's Day. What's the luckiest moment in the history of the Jacksonville Jaguars? Being awarded a franchise, Morton Anderson's miss, Gerard to Thomas Hail Mary, or Frank Gore's first down that enabled the Jags to get the number 1 pick to select Trevor Lawrence. Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, Dylan Denmark here with you. This is Jaguars Today on 1010XL 92.5 FM. Hey, folks, Mike Dempsey here for Dandy Foods. Man, I heard about some horror stories about people waiting in traffic on a couple of those days for the Players' Championship. That's just kind of the nature of the beast. You know, you got to start your day off early. Well, anytime you think you're going to be stuck anywhere, and Jacksonville is a long driving city, be prepared. Have some Dandy food on board and in store. Maybe carry a little cooler around with you. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, snack time, fill you in. Maybe your job keeps you in the automobile all day. Why keep stopping? Go to the gate station the night before and load up on Dandy offerings. Sandwiches, subs, protein packs, fruit cups, veggie trays, breakfast sliders, light lunchtime wraps. Heck, they've got a full line of breakfast items out there. Whether it's hot, cold, something in between, you want it from Dandy, you're going to get it with the highest quality ingredients, great variety, and fantastic prices. When you're hungry in Duval, do what I do, and that's go out and make yours a Dandy and do it today.
At 1010XL,
Wax on, wax off.
our sports experts undergo extensive training before they broadcast.
Wax on, wax off.
Wax on, wax off. Hey.
Jacksonville Sports Radio.
Wax on, hot.
1010XL.
Wax off.
Jaguars Today for the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios.
Your hole-in-one for men's health is Ackerman Urology. With offices in Mandarin, Middleburg, World Golf Village, and the beaches, Ackerman will get you on par for any prostate conditions and sexual vitality. Visit AckermanUrology.com.
Golfers, grab your clubs. It's time to hit the greens for a great cause. Join UF Health Jacksonville for their inaugural Golf Classic on Friday, April 25th at the beautiful Amelia River Club with a shotgun start at 9 a.m. Enjoy a premier golf experience while supporting UF Health Jacksonville. Bring your friends, build your foursome, and get ready for a day of fun, competition, and giving back. Don't wait. Sign up today at ufhealthjacks.org/golf. See you on the course.
Is your backyard ready for the big leagues? Hicken here for Surfside Pools. Serving Northeast Florida since 1977, they have the home field advantage. Family owned and operated, offering weekly pool service, equipment repairs, commercial maintenance, remodels, and new pool construction. Let Surfside Pools make your backyard dreams a reality. Are you ready to float happy? Visit surfsidepools.net or call 904-246-2666. Surfside Pools and Spas, your hometown MVP.
License number CPC 044080.
It's a Dreamfinder's Homes Monday.
Official home builder of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Home is where your story begins. And at Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing, we're here to make it the healthiest, most comfortable place it could be. Whether it's fresh, clean air, dependable plumbing, or reliable power, we take care of it all. From routine maintenance to state-of-the-art solutions, Donovan keeps your home running smoothly. Because at Donovan, we believe your home isn't just where you live, it's where your health meets comfort. Call Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing at 904-270-COOL or visit us online. Let's make your home healthier, safer, and better together.
Out with the old, in with the organized. Mia here for my friends at Closets by Design. Freshen up your home this spring with a custom organization solution. For a limited time, take advantage of our spring special and enjoy exclusive savings on closets, garages, home offices, and more. That's 40% off with an additional 15% off with 12-month special financing through April. Spring on this deal before it's gone. Call today to schedule your free in-home consultation with Closets by Design.
Hi, it's Rick Ballou. I hope you'll join me and some former NFL players for an incredible event at the end of March, the Lone Warrior Foundation 2025 Champions of Hope Charity Golf and Tennis Challenge. March 31st at Marsh Landing will support single-parent families in their fight against cancer. An opportunity to win sensational prizes, but more importantly, we will bring meaningful hope and support to the lives of families affected. To sign up, go to LoneWarriorFoundation.com. That's LoneWarriorFoundation.com.
Share a cup of coffee and range balls with Dan, Jeff, and PGA pros. Tour news, tips, and inside info.
Sounds like a lot of club for this young man.
Brunch with the Tour.
Brought to you by Clearwater Irrigation, 8:30 Tuesday morning on 1010XL.
Hi, I'm Jeff Breyer, president of Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring.
And I'm Zach Breyer. When my dad started in business in 1990, I wasn't even born yet.
That's true. And after 35 years and nearly 20,000 satisfied customers, we literally have a showroom in every neighborhood.
So whether you need more outdoor living space with a glass or screen enclosure, or you're looking to transform your home with new flooring, we've got you covered.
Visit our websites, or better yet, do yourself a favor and stop by one of our showrooms on Phillips Highway to experience the Lifetime difference and receive 20% off your purchase now through March.
This is Hayes Carline for First Florida Credit Union. I bank with First Florida Credit Union because I trust them. I can always count on them when it comes to the vast services they provide. First Florida Credit Union was voted Best Credit Union in the 2024 Best of Bold City Community Choice Awards, and it's easy to see why. I go to the branch off 210 in St. Johns County and the new Durbin location, but they have 10 branches in the Jacksonville area. You need to be banking with First Florida Credit Union. They're enriching people every day. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Opportunity Lender.
Hey, this is Darren with One Call Lawn and Pest Control. Since 2011, we've taken great pride in being Northeast Florida's premier lawn, termite, and pest control company. Our technicians receive thorough training year-round, focusing on exceptional customer service with meticulous attention to detail. One Call serves the greater Jacksonville area, including St. Augustine, Orange Park, and Fernandina. We're eager for the opportunity to earn your business and welcome you to the One Call family. Call or text us for a free quote. 413-8377.
Catch Gators baseball all season long on 1010XL. Pitched by Farah and Farah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jaguars. And Renewal by Anderson, the official window and door replacement partner of the Florida Gators. 1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, more Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
All right, kicking off a fresh week. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Apparently, kids are out of school this week with spring break. The guy who doesn't have any school-age kids does not pay attention to that until I get out on the roads and
smells like teen spirit.
Realize, yeah, so that's what it does. Every time I hear them, I think, yeah, one of the most overrated bands of all time. Can I tell you? It's how I feel about it. Had a couple of good songs. Sure. That's fine. Whatever.
What can I say? I grew up in the grunge era.
I got you.
Right.
I mean, I was alive in the grunge era.
That was right at my music developmental stage.
I
Was
know.
right when grunge came in.
That plays a heavy role into what you see when you're younger, what you hear when you're younger, you get more nostalgic for. Whatever the case. I bring it up more to kick off Doom. Every time I say it, he has some comment about it. Get all apoplectic about it. All right, let's hear from some of the new Jacksonville Jaguars. Free agent signings, a bunch of them spoke last week. We were out at the players, didn't have time to dig deep into what they had to say. So let's just hear a select thought or two from the ones that stepped up to the podium, talking about Jordan Lewis and the two offensive linemen, Macari and Hainsey, De'Ami Brown, and who else? Nick Mullins, Eric Murray.
Mm-hmm.
More I say it, the better I'm going to be with that. Jordan Lewis signed to be the nickel corner for the Jacksonville Jaguars, slot corner, however you want to term it. Was asked a bunch of things, but one of them that he spoke on at length was the importance of him being a leader in this group of young defensive backs.
I talked to Jarian a lot. We trained together in Dallas, and he told me even before I signed, before he knew I was going to be his teammate, he was like, I don't have a vet. I haven't had vets, so I was just. And then when I signed, he was just like, man, I'm willing to do whatever to be successful, man. Go out there and have my best year. So he's ready there. He's hungry. He's accepting, my, I felt whatever type of tutelage that I have for him. He accepts it. He's listening. You can tell that he's actively listening, and he's hungry for it. So I'm pretty sure like him, the rest of the guys are just like that. And I'm excited to just give any knowledge that I can for those guys to be better football players and better men. So that's a role that I'm fully capable of, and I'm ready to accept that responsibility.
He seems like a big chip on the shoulder type guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Plays with an edge and an attitude, and all that's great. I don't mind any of that, right? Particularly, at that position, you got to have the confidence you're lining up against some of the best athletes in the National Football League, and those guys get paid the huge money. Look what Chase and Higgins both got from Cincinnati Bengals. Good for them, man, I tell you. But, Tony, it's interesting to me. Does it bother you in the least? And maybe there's something lost in interpretation, right? It's like a little bit of game of mini telephone here. But if Jarian says, I don't have a vet I can lean on, I mean, Tyson Campbell's been in the league for a little while now, right? Is he not old enough, or does it have to be a 10-year veteran to have a guy? Maybe he's talking about, the ins and outs of playing the slot or nickel in the National Football League.
It's hard to tell, but obviously that stands out. It stood out the first time you heard all the stuff from him. It's like, all right, the vet thing with Tyson, okay. That there's got to be some kind of explanation for that. I'm not sure.
And maybe
what it
Tyson's
is.
just a quiet guy that that's not the type of mantle he takes on.
Right. Tyson is the guy that I've seen working out, helping high school kids.
Sure.
It's not like I have any idea that he's not willing to work with anybody to help, right? That kind of thing. So it's got to be some other explanation beyond that. I do not know exactly.
All right, so
And they brought in a veteran in the cornerback room last year. Apparently that didn't help.
No. Right. I didn't have a vet. Right. Well, you had one.
Yeah.
Who'd played a decade in the league.
Yeah.
And, you guys went to the same school. Right. So there's no reason why Ronald Darby would not have shared his wealth. And look, Ronald Darby didn't have a great year with the Jags. That doesn't mean he doesn't have knowledge of how to play the position in the National Football League. I looked at a 7-round mock that Pro Football Network did over the weekend, where we do our 7-round mocks. And Azariah Thomas went to the Jags at 36.
Okay.
And then they ended up circling back and taking Caleb Ransaw, a corner out of Tulane, with pick 142. That seems like a lot of investment in this position. I'm not saying they won't draft a corner. Right? Corners are valuable. But you do have Monteric, you do have Prince, and that's just in terms of competition. They're not expected to be starters for this football team. They're not handing Jarian a starting spot, obviously. He's going to have to compete in there. And they talked about the versatility of he and Lewis being somewhat interchangeable. I would think the Jags will draft a corner at some point.
Sure.
And if they draft multiple, sometimes you got to consider who's the guy they're drafting? When do they take him?
Yeah, I think the when is the bigger part of it.
When is a big, because sometimes you're drafting a defensive back primarily to play special teams. Once you get into the 6th and 7th round.
You get into day 3 of the NFL draft. I expect virtually every year, every team in the league is going to draft a corner. At some point in their draft, that because you need 5, 6 of them right on your roster. So I expect that they're going to address it somehow, but it's a matter of when do you need to address it? And if you're taking one in the first couple days of the draft, you're probably drafting a guy to be a starter for you pretty soon.
Yes.
Right? That's the idea.
Right.
So
Most normal general managers and brain trusts
the idea is we're going to get this guy on the field. We have an idea for how he's getting on the field fast.
Right. That wasn't necessarily always the case in recent days with the Jacksonville Jaguars. But, again, any position that can be upgraded, it's worth considering, right? And Azariah Thomas didn't allow a touchdown last year in coverage.
Yeah. I'd be in favor of that at 36.
I would. But what is Jarian Jones? Did you waste the 3rd-round pick then?
Figure it out. I don't know exactly what that would look like, but you
figure it out. But there are only so many places to figure it out. I mean, either he's one of your top 3 corners, or he's only playing in dime packages.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, and it seems to me like he showed enough as a 3rd-round pick last year that. Man, I'm so much more interested in getting big bodies than I am getting a corner.
I'm much more interested in doing that, but I wouldn't have a big problem if they went corner in the 2nd round. I guess that's where I'm at with it. It's not that I don't have other positions that I'd be more interested in them addressing at that point in the draft, but if they like a guy enough to take him at 36, I'm on board with it.
And I know people say, what if he's a top-rated guy on your board? I often wonder, I'd really like to see sometimes how often there's a guy who is standing out as such, okay, he may be the top guy on our board, but is it by 0.1%, over the next guy, which basically is the same pick, right? Yeah. I mean, it's the same grade almost. Or now if there's a gap and you say, well, we had him as our 17th best player and our next best player is 31st or whatever on the board, then okay, I guess I can see that. I don't know. I just don't love the idea of going corner early and then coming back with it again.
I wouldn't do it twice.
I feel like it's one of the deeper potential positions for this football team. And again, there's got to be a certain element of in Gladstone and Cohen we trust. And I just put Gladstone ahead when it comes to player procurement because I still default to that. It can be a team effort and all that, but he's still the general manager of this football team. All right, we'll come back. Let's hear some more from some of these other guys, in addition to Jordan Lewis, talking about his impact on that defensive back room. We come back, we'll hear from offensive lineman Patrick McCarry and Robert Hainsey and what they had to say about choosing Jacksonville and where they think they fit in as well. Halfway home, our Chad and Sandy real estate question of the day today, asking you for the luckiest moment in the history of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Was it A, being awarded a franchise, B, Morton Anderson's miss in 96, the Garrard to Mike Thomas Hail Mary that beat the Texans, or Frank Gore's first down, which put the Jags in the driver's seat for the first overall pick, which would go on to be Trevor Lawrence? Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, Dylan Denmark here with you. This is Jaguars Today on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. Hey, folks, Mike Dempsey here for Pella Windows and Doors. Man, you know what? When I wasn't out at the tournament this week, I was looking out my back door and had some beautiful golf going by, and it was crystal clear because I'm looking through Pella Windows and Doors, particularly that sliding glass door. Looks fantastic. Replaced all the windows in my home and the sliding glass door. Went with the best in the business. That's what Consumer Reports tells me. I don't rate window companies. They do, and they have Pella number one in all the major window categories. All I can tell you is I'm so happy that I went with them in my home. You can find them online at PellaJacks.com or do what I did and visit the showroom on Phillips Highway just north of Bay Meadows. That's Pella Windows and Doors.
Jaguars Today.
It's a Dream Finders Homes Monday. Fans first.
I was born a Jags fan, and I'm Duval till I die.
Jaguars pride forever.
Duval!
1010XL, home of the Jaguars.
Gun charges, drug charges. I'm attorney Malcolm Anthony, and I specialize in handling these types of felony cases. Stay out of trouble. But if you don't, call me at 285-4LAW. That's 285-4LAW. 4LAW.
This is Greg Huntington, a.k.a. The Mangler. I'm on the winning team at Waste Management. WM is the largest sustainability company in North America. If your business needs sustainable environmental services for waste removal and recycling collection, then you can count on the industry leader of WM to deliver results. Your services will be completed in a timely, safe, and eco-friendly manner. Go to WM.com/Duval. That's WM.com/Duval and get signed up today. If anyone can talk trash, it's the Mangler.
Buying a home used to feel like a complete headache. Listings here, pre-approval there, financing somewhere else. Now, Rocket is giving every home one address. Rocket.com. A single seamless homeownership platform to help you find, buy, sell, finance, and refinance your home. Everything you need, all under one roof. Visit Rocket.com, the new home for all things home ownership. Rocket, own the dream.
Jaguars Today.
It's a Dream Finders Homes Monday. Jaguars Today from the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios of 1010XL.
Lots of jewelry stores in the town center, but only one is locally owned, Beard's Diamonds.
We're the only local jewelry store at the town center.
That's Jacksonville's John Lupo, owner of Beard's for over 4 decades.
We're entrenched in Jacksonville, Florida.
In a sea of mega chain jewelers, John says it's easy to stand out because he's not handcuffed by a corporate handbook.
I am not beholden to a corporate structure, so we've got flexibility to do whatever we can and want, and we do.
And that includes lowering prices to undercut them every day.
Quality for quality, color for color, everything the same. We should be able to beat them hands down by minimum 20%. We go overseas ourselves. We know exactly what we're buying. This isn't getting marked up in a corporate structure. We will beat anybody's price anywhere.
So before you buy anything at one of those chains, get a second opinion at locally owned Beard's Diamonds. No corporate atmosphere, no corporate rules, no corporate high markups.
We want you to come shop us and you'll see a lot better price here.
Beard's Diamonds.
Everybody gets a good deal at Beard's.
Home of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
What could you do with an extra $75,000 right now, or even a couple $100,000? If you own a home, you can get that money in less than a week with Loan Pronto. Hey, Prosser here. Loan Pronto is the leader in quickly converting your home equity into cold hard cash, so you can pay off all your credit cards or start that home remodel. Loan Pronto has several easy options to let you access the cash from your home. There's virtually no paperwork, no cumbersome process, no junk fees, often no appraisals. Listen, the average homeowner now has over $300,000 in equity. That's your money. Use it. One client got $150,000 out and paid off all their credit cards, 2 car loans, and a personal loan, cutting their monthly expenses by $1,500. You can get approved in as little as 1 day, so act now with no hard credit pull up front. LoanPronto.com or 904-999-1508. Get the money you need for anything at 904-999-1508 or just go to LoanPronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Bueller, stay cooler with Bueller.
Hey, buddy, you look worried.
Worried? I'm apoplectic!
You're what now?
I'm freaking out, Jason. Stupid water heater crapped out, so I haven't showered since Thursday. I start smelling a little funky, blow my big corporate job interview tomorrow, I'll end up settling for some dead-end career selling spatulas on the internet.
Dude, stay cool.
There's nothing cool about a cold shower, Jason. I mean, I know how that sounds, but
Bueller Air and Plumbing can get a new water heater installed today. The day you call. You could be smelling fresh again by dinner time.
Wait, you can do that?
Put on these sunglasses.
Whoa.
Is that cooler?
Oh, yeah.
Well, life moves pretty fast. If you spend much more time smelling like this, you could miss it.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
The 2025 NFL season is right around the corner, and the Jags are building something special. A fresh team, a new culture, and a stadium that's going to change the game. Be there to witness head coach Liam Cohen and the rest of the coaching crew in action by securing your season tickets today. Become a member to get access to exclusive experiences, VIP events, and more. Visit Jaguars.com/tickets or call 904-633-2000. We can't wait to see you at the bank this fall.
Have you got concrete or asphalt rubble piling up? Arcosa Crushed Concrete will pay you for it and recycle it. They're just minutes from Everbank Stadium on Talleyrand. Call Arcosa Crushed Concrete and get paid for what you don't need. ArcosaCrushedConcrete.com.
This is Molly McDonald with your 1010XL local sports update brought to you by Dogtopia at Beach in St. John's Bluff. The Florida Gators are the SEC tournament champions after securing a win yesterday afternoon, defeating the Tennessee Volunteers 86-77. Florida's point guard and first-team All-American Walter Clayton Jr. was named the SEC tournament MVP. Clayton averaged 20.7 points during the Gators' conference title run. Post-game, Walter Clayton Jr. spoke on the vision of the Gators program.
Coach Golden and them, they had a vision, and obviously I committed here and I came here because, I believe in that vision. So, just seeing it, come to fruition, it actually happening, it's just great. So I think me, Lies, Will, all the guys have made this better. I think staff has made this better just as the year's been going on. So I think, it's just going to get better from here for the University of Florida.
It's 57 degrees at 10:57. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Everything you need to know about the Jags. Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
All right, hour 2 of Jaguars Today this morning. Tuesday top 5. We're thinking about, unless somebody on the panel votes it down, the top 5 best free agent signings in franchise history is what we're thinking about doing. So you can consider that. If you'd like, for tomorrow, we'll send a post out to remind you sometime this afternoon. We'll get to Patrick McCary. Tony, you're telling me? Patrick McCary.
I was looking at his, Pro Football Reference has the pronunciation guides for these players once they get into the league a little bit.
Okay.
And that's how they have it listed there, McCary.
I assume that's accurate.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and that's fine. Better to correct me early before it locks in.
Right. It's not like I hadn't been on that player page a couple of times. I just
you don't necessarily go right to the pronunciation.
Like I was going on the page a moment ago, and I was like scrolling down. I was like, why is something bold up there? And I went up there. I was like, oh, it's his name.
Oh!
McCary. Okay.
All right. So we'll hear from him and Robert Hainsey coming up here in a minute. But other things happening around the NFL, and there's always a ripple effect. So let's find out what those things are.
Now, gems around the NFL. Brought to you by Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jax Beach.
Houston has gotten a 3-year, $90 million deal done with cornerback Derek Stingley Jr. with a reported 89 of that $90 million guaranteed.
We just won't go 90.
Yeah.
It's kind of an organizational line we've drawn. What in the world?
It's a weird one. The deal does make Stingley the highest paid defensive back in the National Football League. Cincinnati got deals done with both Jamar Chase and T. Higgins last night. Chase will be the highest paid non-quarterback in the NFL with a 4-year, $161 million extension. T. Higgins will be the highest paid wide receiver, too, in the league on a 4-year, $115 million deal. San Francisco is trading running back Jordan Mason and pick 187 in the draft for pick 160 and a 2026 sixth-round draft pick. The Vikings are giving Mason a 2-year, $7 million guaranteed contract that could be worth up to $12 million. Fullback Kyle Juszczyk is heading back to San Francisco after being released by the team last week. Baltimore is signing quarterback Cooper Rush on a 2-year deal worth up to $12.2 million. And a deadline passed this weekend in Atlanta, which will now guarantee a $10 million roster bonus for quarterback Kirk Cousins in 2026. The Falcons owe Cousins $27.5 million for 2025. Whether they keep or release him. So right now, it looks like he is likely to be a very expensive backup quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons.
I mean, you can make the argument, okay, well, look at the total cost of the quarterback room. Well, it could be considerably less than that, too.
Yeah.
Now I wonder if they just didn't have any suitors for Cousins' services to trade him. The feeling was if they let him go, the Falcons are going to be on the hook for that number minus an offset of whatever he made. So there's no point in paying him $20 million because then the Falcons pick up $7.5, right? So you might as well pay him league minimum. He still gets his $27.5. And there was certainly that talk that the Cleveland Browns were going to do that if he were released. But, he didn't get released, and they probably wanted something for him. And look, it's not, I don't know their cap situation in and out, whether it's keeping them from signing somebody else. But
who knows?
This is the direction they're going in, and it almost feels like a little bit of a face saver, right? Because if you cut him and then you've got to pay him on top of that, and I saw, I guess it was Pro Football Talk, and they're like, that $10 million doesn't mean anything. I'm like, man, I get how rich NFL owners are, but the idea that $10 million, we're just going to flush $10 million to pay this guy to be our backup quarterback.
Yeah, the imaginary games that people play with other people's money. Like, if you were that rich, you'd be like, $10 million, no big deal. Like, it's no big deal when you don't have it, right? Like, yeah, of course, you can just live with $10 million going out the door for nothing. Like, yeah, if it's not your money, that's easy to say. If you're the guy who actually got the money, no. Like, I'm not just wasting it, even though occasionally you have to. And that's what it feels like is going to wind up happening with Cousins in Atlanta.
The only way they would have saved money this year on him is if they cut him loose and somebody paid him more than the $27.5 million.
Which ain't going to happen.
Right, which didn't seem like it was going to happen, at least. So I guess they look at it like, look, if we cut him loose, we're still paying him $25, let's call it, right? Because the veteran minimum is veteran minimum, I looked this up last week. If you're 7.5 years in the league, right? 7 years, not 7.5, 7 years or more, I should say, 7+ years in the league. Doesn't matter if you've been in 12, 15, or 7. You get the same veteran minimum. What is that veteran minimum, do you think? Rough range.
1.9.
1.2.
Yeah.
That's pretty low.
Yeah.
Right? I thought for a vet who's been around that long.
Right.
But, so you'd save 1.2. So they're probably looking at it like, okay, we could save $1.2 million this year and then go have to find a backup quarterback for the next couple of years.
Yeah.
And maybe pay a backup $10 million for 2 years worth of service. Instead, bite the bullet because we're already paying him the $27.5.
Yeah.
So we'll pay him the $10 million. He'll be our backup quarterback, and he's better than anybody else that we'd get.
Or at least leave open the opportunity if someone has an injury somewhere and they want to trade something for him at some point. Right, in the process, we might actually be able to recoup something,
even if not the cash, right? Like you'd save some of the money because you'd be trading the contract.
It's not a bad backup if that's the direction we have to go. If we potentially something happens to somebody else around the league and they're willing to pay the price on it at that point that they're not willing to pay now, okay,
he needs to look good in training camp because you're not trying to play him at all this year.
No.
And if Penix gets hurt, then you're not trading Cousins if you're the Falcons.
No.
And if he doesn't get hurt, who's going to give much for, to roll the dice on a what is he, 36, 37 now? Coming off
getting up there.
Some serious injury the last couple of years. Anyway, would you have been okay with the Jags giving pick 70 to the Cincinnati Bengals and then turning around and giving T. Higgins $28.75 million a year? That's the contract he got. 4 years, $15 million. It's a big deal. I mean, you kind of knew it all along. He was going to get, I thought like 25 might be the number, And I guess in his case, he's clearly the number 2 to Jamar Chase. Here, I would have felt he is the number 2 to Brian Thomas, but you wouldn't have had that, we've got to pay this other guy so much more right now.
He's a high enough caliber player that there were plenty of spots where he might have been able to go and be the one, right? Like there are probably some landing spots that if he had actually hit free agency, he would have had the opportunity.
Carolina.
Right. Like
New England.
Swimming in those kind of waters. That wouldn't be here. You might be able to get close to one money right now because Brian Thomas Jr. is still affordable as a rookie, right? That's where the Jags may be willing to pay a bit of the premium on a wide receiver 2 because they're not having to pay the premium on the wide receiver 1 yet. That's something they're going to have to think about in 2 years. What exactly that's going to look like. Probably not. That's probably too much with the draft pick.
I would have loved the idea of T. Higgins. Yeah. I mean, Lonnie, I think he's a great complementary type receiver to Brian Thomas, and particularly if you're going to run Brian Thomas more out of the slot, which they've talked about. He has that ability that kind of opened their eyes watching the film on him. I think the bigger question is, and I saw what you said on social media about it, this weekend, so I kind of know where you're headed here. 3 years, $45 million on Cooper Kupp.
Uh-huh.
And I saw people freaking out. Oh my gosh, I'm glad we weren't in the Cooper Kupp. Like, when did you ever think Cooper Kupp was coming for $5 million?
Well, in my head, and we didn't talk details, as we've gone through it in the last couple but in my head, the number I had in my head was, this is where I'd be willing to go. 2 years, $30 million. That's the number I had in my head.
And it may turn out to be that.
Right.
Well, or it could turn out to be 2 years, $35 million, because the way it's structured, I looked this morning, no one's got the full structure of the deal that I could tell.
Sure. But I do think the whole thing with Cooper, you rely to some degree on the guy that just left the building out there knows what's up with Cooper Kupp.
Yes.
Right? So I trust that whatever level he was willing to be comfortable going to, with the Cooper Kupp thing, and I do think West Coast, for whatever reason, seemed to be a bigger deal to Cooper Kupp, right?
I'm saying, though, even, take that out. Like, if he would have taken that deal from the Jags, would you have been okay with that deal? Like, I understand what you're saying. He had expressed, or at least it had been expressed, his desire was to stay on the West Coast, and he ended up signing in Seattle.
I think if you knew the price on Cooper Kupp was going to be a couple of years at about $15 million, that the Jags should have been very interested in that level of player at that cost.
Like, that didn't stick or shock me at all.
No.
Especially, now let's wait and see how much, if he ends up getting 38 of that in the first 2 years, and it's a dummy, I don't know how it's structured, Usually, though.
That's how these deals usually
it's a little less, and it's kind of backloaded on the end, and then you let him go and you save X amount. So I'd like to, but look, again, you're right. We have to trust James Gladstone's evaluation. He was in the building with Cooper Kupp for years out there in Los Angeles, and he's seen it a lot closer, but he also knows what he brings intangibly to the team. Not trying to, be facetious about that, the intangibly rich path.
That's what he talked about when he was asked about it at his press conference.
It became pretty clear at the press conference that he was like, hey, we got respect for Cooper Kupp. We'll see. You never know. But he also made the statement, and it was in terms, I think, of adding a veteran pass rusher of we don't want to bring in vets that are going to block the ascension of young players. Well, I don't know right now. Now, if you're planning on drafting a wide receiver with any kind of significant draft capital,
sure,
that's one thing, okay?
Yeah.
But if you're looking at it and going, well, we got to make sure De'Ami Brown and Gabe Davis, De'Ami Brown's here for 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
And if he excels, his price tag's going to go up, right? So Gabe Davis, it's tough to feel like to know what you're going to get out of him.
Right.
I mean, he's shown it with Buffalo, didn't show it last year. Was he hurt? That's a factor. And if you're going to go draft somebody in, say, the third round, that's another thing. That mock I was looking at this morning had the Jags taking a wide receiver, Jalen Royals with pick 88 with their second, third round pick. And I'm like, Jalen Royals. Then I looked up his numbers. Pretty damn good, man. Pretty productive at Utah State. In fact, he had like 800-something yards this year, which is not eye-popping. My man played 7 games, right? So if you extrapolate it out, he was like a 1,500-yard receiver. He had a big year the year before as well. He scored 15 touchdowns as a junior. This year as a senior. Obviously, only playing in 7 games, those numbers were down. He's an intriguing guy, though. Was not on my radar at all. He's like 6'1", 210, so he's a good size player. And they said not particularly elite in any one aspect of his game. Smart, reliable hands, well-rounded game, gets open consistently. You don't have to run a 4.3 40 to be successful. It helps. It's nice if you've got that ability, but
no doubt
you're not taking the complete package at pick 88. Those guys are long off the board. But, if they do something like that, it's understandable to me. Like, hey, right now I do have a big question who the number 2 pass catcher on this football team is going to end up being. Is he even on the roster at this point? Is number 3 on the roster at this point? Probably. And I'm taking running backs out of it. Right? I'm talking about tight ends and wide receivers. I don't know. I saw a lot of sticker shock from people. Man, I'm glad we didn't get Cooper Kupp at that price. I want to see what the final details on the contract are before I know whether or not that was one I wanted to avoid for the Jags. Because if you had told me we can get Kupp and it's going to be $15 million a year, it's like, the cap just jumped 20 this year. It'll probably jump another 20 next year. It's just the way it is. These contracts look. That's $25 million below the top of the league right now. That's $9 million less than Christian Kirk was going to count against your cap this year, for instance. So
I imagine if you went and looked at, wide receiver 2 rankings, and Higgins is going to reset the market on that.
Oh, for sure.
Right. But if you go look at that kind of thing, that essentially Cooper Kupp would be kind of probably towards the top at $15 million a year, probably towards the top of the wide receiver 2 money, right? So not all teams even have a 1.
But that's the thing. Their 1 is on a rookie deal.
Right.
Right. So in terms of the money, he's the 1 in Seattle, right? In terms of what he's getting paid. In terms of expected production, he's the 2, but you can do different things when the 1 is on a rookie contract.
No doubt. And so teams that are doing, if the Jags have been interested in that kind of level with Cooper Kupp, I would have been, okay.
Yeah.
Right? Like I said, we didn't talk the details of it, but in my head, I was like 2 for 30.
Like, I would have done I would have done T. Higgins like 3 years, 30, right? 3 years, 90, which is just the tiniest bump. You didn't have the opportunity to do that, obviously. Well, I guess you could have made an offer, to Cincinnati. Hey, would a 3rd-round pick do? Because you can structure it that Brian Thomas's eventual extension doesn't hit the cap at the same time.
Right.
And then a couple of years from now, then you're basically drafting T. Higgins' replacement somewhere down the line. And what, based on what everyone's saying about this year's class, is likely to be a better wide receiver group in the draft. All right. To not cut him short, we'll come back. We'll hear from McCary and Hainsey and several other new Jaguar signings and see what they had to say in their initial media opportunity with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, Dylan Denmark coming back with a little Jags audio for you here on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Jaguars Today from the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios.
May I speak?
You have my permission.
My sensors indicate the presence of aliens.
How many?
10XL. This is imperative.
Imperative indeed.
Call 904-500-COOL. Ideal Conditions.
Need a new air conditioning system? Don't sign anything. Call Ideal Conditions Heating and Air Conditioning, your AC experts. Just ask your AC. Finance a brand new system for 60 months with 0% interest on approved credit for approved systems. Visit idealconditionsjacks.com.
Call 904-500-COOL.
Honk if you see us. Call for service.
Ideal Conditions.
Idealconditionsjacks.com.
Hey everybody, Jennifer Marion with Randy Marion Cadillac in Jacksonville here to say hello, and we'd sure like to have your business.
You know what? They're going to love the king of price.
My dad believes in making great deals and having a great selection in stock.
Cadillac XT4s, XT5s, and XT6s, and Escalades.
The all-electric Cadillac Lyriq.
CT4s and CT5s.
Cadillac luxury and selection is just waiting for you.
At Randy Marion Cadillac, Southside Boulevard, Jacksonville.
And don't forget, tell them Jennifer sent ya. Get a healthy start in 2025. The Florida Department of Health in Duval County is here to encourage you to get healthy and stay healthy this year. They have a dedicated team who are committed to providing quality care. The goal is to protect, promote, and improve the health of you and your family. Visit duval.floridahealth.gov to learn more about their health programs and services. That's duval.floridahealth.gov.
Dreamfinders Homes, Monday.
On Jaguars Today.
Tired of drafty, noisy vinyl windows? It's time to say goodbye to vinyl. And hello to lasting comfort with Renewal by Anderson Windows and Doors. Our exclusive Fiberx windows are 2 times stronger than vinyl, more energy efficient, and custom built to fit your home perfectly. No more warping, no more cracking, just beautiful, durable windows that stand the test of time. Right now, get special financing or save big with limited time discounts. Call Renewal by Anderson today and say bye-bye vinyl. Visit bestwindowsflorida.com. Don't wait. Upgrade today. License number CGC 1527613.
Come visit the best sports restaurant in town. That's Big Dogs in Orange Park, known for great burgers, huge wings, pizza, salads, and special nightly events like trivia and karaoke. You'll all love it at Big Dogs Restaurant in Orange Park.
It's National Hookie Day, the first day of the Hoops Tourney. Watch the madness with 1010XL and enjoy madness specials all day long, starting with Helmets and Heels live from Hurricane Grill and Wings in San Marco. Then join XL Primetime at Twin Peaks on Atlantic Boulevard. The Frangie Show will be at the Dart Bar on King Street, and finish the day with Into the Night with Rick Ballou and Hacker After Dark at Mr. Chubby's Wings on the West Side. Now that's the way to celebrate hoops.
Oh my!
Transform your bathroom with stunning shower glass from Sky Glass Solutions in Jacksonville Beach. For a free quote, call 904-608-5151 or visit skyglasssolutions.com.
Get closer to nature.
Trying to get close to these bucks out here.
Jeff Lageman, Captain Kevin Faber, and Captain Kirk Walls. The Nimnicht Outdoor Show. Presented by Duck Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic and Air Conditioning. Saturday morning 7 to 10 on 1010XL.
Transmission troubles? I'm Robin Sidbury, owner of Action Transmission Specialist on Merrill Road. So come in and see how we can help solve your transmission troubles. We service all makes and models. Remember, get traction. Call Action at 744-0755.
I'm here with Clayton Bromberg of Underwoods. Clayton, in talking about the quality of cut of a diamond, is there a particular diamond cutter that's known as the best?
Frank, the answer is yes, and that would be Hearts on Fire, who have the world's most perfectly cut diamond, and we have them now at Underwoods. When anybody comes in and looks at one of these diamonds, the first thing they say is, wow! That's because these diamonds are cut from absolute maximum beauty and are really worth seeing, so you have an idea of how good a diamond can really look. They have perfect polish, perfect symmetry, and perfect proportions, and are backed up with an American Gem Society diamond quality document. Now, not every diamond could be a Hearts on Fire diamond because only certain rough diamonds in the hands of the most skilled cutters working in state-of-the-art cutting facilities can cut these. In fact, only 200 diamond cutters out of the 1 million people employed in the diamond cutting trade are skilled enough to cut Hearts on Fire diamonds.
See Hearts on Fire now at Underwoods, San Marco, Avondale, the shops of Ponte Vedra, Underwood Jewelers.
I'm Rick Julius, a partner at Cordell & Cordell. Divorce is more than just a legal process. It's a life-changing event that can impact your future, finances, and your relationship with your children. You've worked hard to build a life that you're proud of, and you deserve a legal partner who will work just as hard to protect it.
Offices in Jacksonville. Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's attorneys. Lisa Cargis, Florida resident partner. Rick Julius, licensed in Pennsylvania only. Online at CordellCordell.com.
E.T. here, and if you've ever been injured in an accident, you have 14 days to see a doctor and protect your insurance benefits. You have the right to choose your own doctor, too. And I recommend McGowan Spinal Rehabilitation, the auto accident experts.
You are in for a treat on Saturday, March 22nd from 1 to 4 p.m. at Tobacco Cove, where the smoke is rich and the deals are hotter than a lit cigar. It's time for the La Aroma de Cuba cigar event with great cigars, mouth-watering food, and awesome prizes. What more could you want? Tobacco Cove, 3849 Bay Meadows Road. More than a cigar store, it's an experience.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, more Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
All right, got some of this audio to get to, Tony. Got today's 1010 take as well on our Chad and Sandy real estate poll question, which is the luckiest moment in franchise history. The options we gave you. Being awarded a franchise, A, period. Morton Anderson's miss, 96. Gerardo Thomas, Hail Mary. Frank Gore's key first down that enabled him to draft Trevor Lawrence. I don't want to give this a whole lot of air, but I feel like every once in a while we need to smack this kind of thing down a little bit. Tell the folks who are unaware of what Walter Football, which is...
Yeah.
You know, it's a site out there that's covered the draft and the NFL and things like that for a long time. And I don't know how much credibility that, you know, at times they have some good stuff. At other times, I think they're way out in left field, including this one.
Charlie Campbell over there at Walter Football wrote an article.
He's like the main guy, right?
Yeah, yesterday that said Jags would listen/consider Trayvon Walker offers. Part of the article that he had up there written. Teams that were interested in trading for Crosby or Garrett can no longer pursue that route, but one under-the-radar name to consider is Jaguars defensive lineman Trayvon Walker. While sources in Jacksonville view Walker as a long-term piece of the roster, sources with the Jaguars say they would listen and consider offers for their young defensive lineman.
Oh, come on, man. I mean, like I would be...
You think the Browns might consider offers for Garrett?
Sure. Right. I mean, anyone would literally outside Mahomes.
How about Dallas for it? You know, like, you don't think they'd consider offers? You know,
consider offers. Like, I think if you called, is Mahomes available? No.
How about 3 1s?
No.
4.
Not for Mahomes. No.
16.
Maybe. I mean, you're not allowed to trade picks that far into the future.
I know.
Right? What are you allowed to trade? Is it 2 years into the future?
I forget, but there is a limit.
There's a limit on how far you can go with your first-round picks. Like, in this year's draft, you might be able to trade a 2027
It's got to be 2 years, because otherwise, why would teams even,
right.
At some point,
like
it would
this year and the next 2 years,
Yeah,
right?
it would be extended into even this offseason. Teams would be, we'll send you our 2027 7th-round pick.
Yes.
Right? Like, it would extend into that kind of thing for something,
So
but
there's
it never
no
happens.
offer. Here's my next 3 drafts for Mahomes. No. They're going to say no, right? The only reason that anyone will listen to anything else if I say, I'll give you Mahomes for this, right? Now, that's stupid, and they're not going to do that. But there are, like, hey, Cincinnati, Joe Burrow or Mahomes. They probably say no because they're locked. You know what I mean? They're locked in. And I get, but you'd have to at least for a second go, oh, Mahomes, right? Like, they're not trading Mahomes.
I think I'm looking at it right now. Teams can only trade 2 drafts into the future until the draft starts. When it starts, you can do the 3rd year.
Okay, so on the clock, the draft kicks off. Now you can do first-round picks in 25, 26, 27, right? Fine, whatever. Regardless of that, hey, is Trayvon Walker available? What are you offering? I want to know what you're offering.
Right.
3 firsts, 3 seconds? Yes, he's available. Love you, Trayvon. Don't love you that much. Right. I mean, again, depending on where those picks are and all that. So from that standpoint, would they listen? Sure. The thing that cracks me up, heard it again on a national radio show this weekend, that this team should call about Trevor Lawrence. Like, all I hear is Trevor Lawrence disappointed. Trevor Lawrence hasn't lived up. Trevor Lawrence this, Trevor Lawrence that. Not good enough, not good enough. But every team wants to trade for him or should be wanting to trade for him. Well, why is that? Right?
One or the other is false.
I get, like, if you're Pittsburgh and all you have is Mason Rudolph, Trevor would be a big upgrade, even if you don't think he's
completely believe both.
Yeah, there's a lot of narrative pushing on that, and we're not your farm system, okay? And I'm not sure the Jags brain trust, they didn't draft Trevor. They wouldn't take this job.
Yeah.
They're financially committed to Trevor for several years down the line.
Yeah.
And are you taking that job going, oh, well, I'm stuck with a guy I don't like at quarterback for the next 3 years?
The entire NFL world isn't waiting for Giancarlo Stanton to be developed by the Marlins until we can afford to get him. Right? Like, that's not how the NFL works.
Correct.
Like, that's how Major League Baseball works. It's how the NBA works to some degree, right? But the NFL doesn't work that way. And it points to the stupidity of the people who talk about it like it still does. Like, Jacksonville is too small for any of their decisions to matter or the players they have to make. It's like, you know more about Jacksonville and what's happening with the Jaguars than I imagine you do with any other major league in professional sports in America. Can you tell me what's going on with the least significant hockey team, baseball team, basketball team? No. But you can with the Jaguars because they're not irrelevant. It's just stupid the way people talk about it.
Yeah, but it continues to pop up out there, and we get asked about it, so every once in a while it needs to be smacked down. Yeah. All right, let's hear from the offensive lineman signees here. Patrick McCary speaking last week down at the Miller Electric Center. What does he think he brings to the table for this Jaguars offensive line?
Someone that just wants to play and win. I want to understand the technique better. I want to understand coaches' ideas of technique, assignments, fundamentals, and master that so I could I just be a good leader in the room, be a good leader to the guys, bring winning football here. And I just, like I said, I want to compete. I want to help the team win, whatever fashion that looks like.
I feel like, Tony, if you could do a 10-man or 9-man, Twitter poll and put all the names of the new signees in, he'd be the most popular.
I would imagine,
right?
Yeah.
In terms of the fit, what people are learning about him, his versatility, his attitude, all these things. I know who Patrick McCary was, right? Like, we don't follow other teams' interior offensive linemen to that degree.
No.
That we weren't discussing him, at least I wasn't, leading into free agency. I'm not saying nobody mentioned him along the way, but I do think he would win the runoff for the most popular of the signings to this point.
I think he would. I think he'd probably win it pretty easily.
Might.
You know, given his versatility, he's going to be starting in one of the big open spots that they have at a position where every time we've put up any kind of poll here over the last 2 months has essentially interior offensive line wins the poll, right? Like, where do you want him to focus? Interior offensive line is the position that wins the poll, and that's the guy that they brought in to directly address that somewhere on the offensive line. He's probably going to be starting at either left or right guard for the team, and the other guy we're going to hear from here in a moment is probably going to be starting at center, though we don't know. But we know McCary's going to be starting somewhere.
Right, he's the right guard to me, unless that, you know, I don't even say unless.
Even if they added a guy, he's going to be starting somewhere on the offensive line for him.
The only other guy, right, they would start over McCary might be Ezra Cleveland if they flip sides for some reason. Right, for some reason, but I don't know why you would do that if you feel comfortable with Ezra on the left side.
Absolutely.
Right?
And, you know, even with Hainsey, he's the guy who looks like he's going to be the starting center for now, but they could draft somebody that takes that. You know, like, it's not impossible that happens. I can't imagine the scenario where McCary isn't starting somewhere on the offensive line.
Super low likelihood that Hainsey is not starting on opening day.
Right.
Though. And talked about this last week about his excitement on working with Trevor Lawrence.
Very excited. He seems like an awesome dude. I just met him for the first time. We talked for a little bit. It's cool, I think, for both of us because I've been in the system a year. I think that'll be helpful to him. He's got a ton of knowledge, and he's a great player, so that'll be helpful to me. It's very exciting to get to work with another new quarterback. He seems like an awesome dude, like an awesome family guy, so it's going to be a lot of fun getting to work together in a couple weeks throughout off-season, mini camp, all that stuff. I think we're really going to be able to grow and bond as a team as a whole and a unit in the offensive line room and offense, defense as a group. I think it's going to be very, very good.
Give them the 12th best offensive line in the league this year. Right? It doesn't have to be number one, doesn't have to be number three. I mean, it's great if you can have that if you're Detroit or Philadelphia, one of those type teams, but not everybody has that, and plenty of teams still make the playoffs and have tons of success protecting their quarterback, running the ball. Hainsey had a little bit of a market, too, so the Jags were able to get him, and I that's probably the Liam Cohen connection as much as anything.
Right.
You know, having played and the no state income tax and all that kind of stuff. So I think pretty easy to pencil in the starting five on the offensive line. Doesn't mean I'd be upset at all if they spent multiple picks on the offensive line. In the draft coming up. With an eye towards maybe pushing one of these guys this year, but certainly for the long term. But I could also see it maybe not happening until the back half of the draft, beginning in round 4 at the earliest, where we've been mocking. I would be a little surprised if they went offensive line with the 5th pick at this point after these signings. And I think if they do, it might be more of a case of instead of trying to replace the guy we just gave money to, maybe they didn't feel the same way about Walker Little's film as the previous regime did.
Sure.
Something like that. Like if they feel like the value of the left tackle position is so much that if you can get what you feel could be a really good player at that spot for down the line, and a guy like Will Campbell, who's got the versatility to push for playing time on the interior as well, that might be the most likely scenario if they're to go that way.
Possible scenario that you could see playing out for the team in the NFL draft. Sticking on the offensive side of the ball.
No, we gotta get in 10-10 take before we do that. We'll see if we can get a little bit more on the other side with some of this audio, but let's fire up for today's poll question, Dylan.
10-10
take.
Now, Mike Dempsey's 10-10 take is serviced by Ideal Conditions Heating and Air, your go-to local HVAC company, veteran owned and operated.
All right, we will get to De'Ami Brown and a couple of others on the other side, but today's poll question presented by Chad and Sandy Real Estate. Happy St. Patrick's Day. The Jaguars question of the day, the Jaguars Today question of the day. What's the luckiest moment in the history of the franchise? Is it A, being awarded the franchise, B, Morton Anderson's miss, the Garrard to Thomas Hail Mary, and Frank Gore's first down? Those are the other options. The latter two not getting nearly as much as the first two. Being awarded the franchise has a solid lead, probably won't be caught at 46%. I would vote for Morton Anderson's miss. When it comes to the luckiest thing, like to me, being awarded the franchise, I get that there's a luck element. You're like, wow, how did that happen? But I think what it does, it diminishes the hard work of Touchdown Jacksonville and Wayne Weaver and putting such a bid together and an ownership group that the NFL was so enamored with that, yes, they gave other teams time to kind of regroup and make their pitch. And as Jeff Prosser said, the Jags were lucky that the other teams basically crapped the bed so much in making their pitches. So I guess you could look at it from that standpoint. But I think by calling that the luckiest thing, to me, it's a little bit of an insult to Wayne Weaver for getting it done. The Jags wanted Wayne Weaver. Maybe the luckiest thing is Wayne was so loyal to Jacksonville when they said, we want you.
That's the luck.
Right.
Is Jacksonville had Wayne Weaver. Right, like that's the luck, and you don't have to have it. And there were a lot of things that were pushing. Even we want Wayne, but we don't want this. And Wayne said, "Well, you can't have me.
It's one of the other, right? You can either have us both, or I'm out. Right? If you want me, it's in Jacksonville.
You can imagine there were plenty of people in a similar situation that would have said, "Where do you need me to go? Okay,
yeah, I'll get a team. Right,
right." Like, but Wayne Weaver standing his ground saying, no, Jacksonville is what you got to take if you're going to get me.
Yeah, but for my vote, Morton Anderson's miss. I mean, Morton Anderson, one of the great kickers. He's a Hall of Famer. You kidding me? He's one of the great kickers in NFL history, and he missed, a 31-yarder. I mean, are you kidding? To put the Jags in the playoffs on that hot streak that they're in down the stretch, easily for me. That's number one. That's only getting 33.8% right now, 46% going with being awarded the franchise. Frank Gore's first down, 13.4. That's for the Trevor True Believers, and the Garrard to Thomas Hail Mary, 6.5%. Well, let's come back. Some final thoughts on that. A little bit more Jaguar audio as we wrap up day one of a new week here on Jaguars Today. Keep it right here on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Jaguars Today.
From the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios at 1010XL. Feel the downforce of 100 horses. Everybody in the crowd on their feet. This Sunday at Miami. Wow! NASCAR is revved up by the Plumbers and Pipe Fitters Local Union 234 and 1010XL.
This is the Mangler. Years of playing football coupled with lifestyle left my feet mangled with neuropathy. I was experiencing burning, tingling, and numbness. I spoke with 2 foot specialists, and they told me there was no cure. They were wrong. I found Dr. Nate Riddle in Ponte Vedra. After utilizing his neuropathy treatment for only 2 weeks, I noticed a difference in my feet. I was regaining my feeling and balance. If you want relief from nerve pain, call Dr. Nate for a free consultation at Riddle Wellness, 904-395-5598.
You know, Mr. Chubby's Wings is giving away free beer again this year for the Madness Tournament.
Do they really give you a free pint of Miller Lite for each game you pick right?
Yes, all you got to do is fill out your bracket now at 1010XL.com. The overall winner gets tickets to Welcome to Rockville on Saturday. But for free beer, just download your bracket, print it out, and bring it into any Mr. Chubby's Wings location during the games. Every game you pick right, you get a free beer.
Go to 1010XL.com now. It's the free beer Chubby Madness Bracket Challenge. See Mr. Chubby's Wings Facebook for full contest details.
Guys, your lawn's the home field. Now you can champion your St. Augustine grass. TopDressing.com just hit Jacksonville with a game-changing patented process. Aerate and transform your turf into a fairway-worthy masterpiece. Less water, shorter cuts, and the envy of every neighbor. No one else delivers a perfect 10 lawn like this. Visit TopDressing.com and dominate your block with the same process that golf courses use. Top dress your lawn like the pros with TopDressing.com.
Jaguars Today Monday is built by Dream Finders Homes.
Official home builder of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Cool Cats Heating and Cooling. The coolest cats in town. Setting the standard in our hometown. Quality service, the best around. Coolidge is the cat that cares about your heating and about your air. Cool Cats Heating and Cooling. The coolest cats in town.
Are you looking for a place to outfit your truck or van? It's Catlin Truck Accessories. For 105 years and 4 generations, Catlin is the name you can count on. This is Keith Catlin, and we know trucks and vans too, from Lear toppers, ladder racks, van shelving, strobe lighting, roll and lock bed covers, and everything in between. If you want quality products and great customer service, there's only one name. It's Catlin.
Who can you count on? Count on Cat
For 105 years, you can count on Catlin.
We're certainly facing interesting economic times. For me, it's comforting to know my money's in good hands with ITP Partners. Jacksonville guys taking care of my Jacksonville money. Experience? Yeah, that's Chris Bryan, Jeff Hartman, Reagan Wright, Dan Abel, Scott Regner, Janice Cobb, and Reed Wingate. They have the expertise and knowledge to take care of your money. For more info, go to itppartners.com. ITP Partners, they're my financial partners for life.
Non-compensated client testimonial may not be representative of all client experiences. No guarantee of future performance or success.
When no names become household names. Listen for March moments all month long on 1010XL. Driven by Garber Auto Mall. We can wiggle it.
Hey, it's Angela and Brian Wall. How many companies do you know in this day and age that actually want their potential customers to call their competition and get quotes from them?
That's what Windoworld wants you to do. Windoworld knows there are other window companies out there, but we also know those other guys. When compared to Windoworld, they can't offer you the quality at the price that Windoworld can.
And with Windoworld, you get the absolute best guarantee there is in the window replacement business.
If anything goes wrong with your new Windoworld windows, 5 years from now, 10, 15, 50, Windoworld and I will be there to fix it for you. You get peace of mind with Windoworld, and to top it off, Windoworld windows increase the value of your home. So look what you get with Windoworld. Quality windows, low price, the best guarantee in the business, energy savings, and an increase in the value of your home. A win-win for you.
Call Windoworld today and get your free in-home estimate or see them online at windowworldneflorida.com.
Windoworld, simply the best for less. Thank you for your business.
Window World also offers energy-efficient doors.
Hi, I'm Sean Monahan from Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach. Since 1977, we've been Jacksonville's local family jeweler with a beautiful selection of fine jewelry and certified diamonds. But we're also Jacksonville's leading buyer of gold and silver and diamonds from the public. Gold has recently hit an all-time high at almost $3,000 per ounce. Pay bills, buy something fun. Now is the time to sell your gold for cash and get top dollar or trade it in for a new piece and get even more value at Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach.
Collisions happen on every play in football. Collisions also happen every day on the road. If you need auto body repair, from a $30 job to a $30,000 job, trust San Jose Collision in Mandarin.
Hi, I'm Malcolm Anthony. If you've been charged with a crime, you don't have to face it alone. I'm here for you. Stay out of trouble, but if you don't, call me. 285-4LAW. That's 285-4LAW. in the 904.
Hicken here. Beat the spring cleaning rush and call our cleaning heroes at Zero Res. This month, get one room Zero Resified starting at $53. Take $100 off your air duct cleaning. Visit ZeroResJacksonville.com and tell them 1010XL sent you.
Zero Res. 1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, the cool down from the cool guys at Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing. Fast, reliable, and honest service since '87.
All right, few here on the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures, Tony. Somebody suggesting Brandon Cooks could fit. He'd be cheap, still a solid player. I don't think the Jags are going to bring in any veteran receivers at this point in time. I mean, again, based on what they said, they brought in the one. That's De'Ami Brown. But based on what they said, we don't want basically veterans clogging the lane for these young players that we draft. And they didn't say specifically at wide receiver, but I think it plays at any position you're talking about now. Mm-hmm. Not saying they won't sign another veteran somewhere along the line. It would not surprise me at all if it doesn't happen until after the draft.
Yep.
At all. Just all quiet on the Jaguar front until then. James Gladstone's not telling me what they're considering doing. I'm just trying to read the tea leaves on that. But, yeah, I agree. Brandon Cooks has been a solid player in the National Football League. Like 6 1,000-yard seasons. Hasn't had one in a while. Probably would come very cheap. But, again, if you're going to draft a guy, if you've drafted a guy in the 4th round, and all of a sudden now you've got, obviously, Brian Thomas Jr., target hog, as he should be. De'Ami Brown, you just paid $10 million to. This regime did. Gabe Davis, still here. And you could say what you want about his year here. Has been a productive receiver in the NFL. Mm-hmm. You know, basically 4 of the 5 years he's been. Of course, the one was the one he's here. You still have Parker Washington on the roster as well. I don't see them bringing in a Cooks type of veteran. And then, you know, I do think they'll draft a receiver. At which point, I don't know when that's going to be. Because you can look up at the end of this year and go, well, De'Ami Brown's a free agent again. We're going to move on from Gabe Davis because the cap flips, and now you've got Brian Thomas Jr. and maybe Parker Washington as guys that you feel good about.
Yeah, like it wouldn't be all that surprising to me if they drafted a wide receiver at 5, right? Like if they just love Ted McMillan or something like that, it'd be like, okay. Like that wouldn't surprise me at all, but I doubt they're going to bring in another free agent.
Right. Their follow-up was it was just an alternative to signing a vet like T. Well, their alternative was they signed De'Ami Brown.
Yeah.
And they paid him $10 million.
They've already pivoted off.
Right. That's their guy. So, again, I'm not saying it was crazy to think that they could sign Brandon Cooks, but at this point, I don't think it makes sense. This one, Trayvon Walker isn't in the same universe as Myles Garrett or Micah Parsons. That's not the point.
No.
The point is, would the Browns listen to a trade offer for Myles Garrett? In the sense that pretty much anyone would listen to any offer. Why not listen, right? But Trayvon's still on a rookie deal. Double-digit sack guy the last 2 years. And we've talked about how much they need to add behind Josh Allen and Trayvon Walker. What are you going to get for Trayvon that makes it worth your while to move off of him in the present circumstance?
Right.
It doesn't make sense to me. And then the Mavs trading Luka showed that no trade is too crazy. Luka's a really good player, exceptional player, but he's not Patrick Mahomes. Like he's not NBA equivalent of Patrick Mahomes. Like Patrick Mahomes not getting traded. There's no package you could put together. I don't believe that the Chiefs would move off of Patrick Mahomes.
Mm-hmm.
Period. Nothing. Any player you want on our roster. Because you got to factor in salary cap there as well. Okay, so I could have Burrow, Chase, and Higgins for Mahomes. Well, we couldn't fit them all, right? And Cincinnati's not going to make that offer. And anyway, so I mean, look, there are trades that surprise us. There's no question about it. It's not like Anthony Davis is nothing, like he's never done anything in his career. I get it. It was a lopsided trade, but I don't think Luka is in the Patrick Mahomes conversation in terms of the level of talent. By the way, which way did you vote on today's poll?
I would have voted for getting the team.
Getting the team, okay. Yeah. So 45.6% say being awarded the franchise the luckiest moment in Jaguar franchise history. 34% correctly saying Morton Anderson's miss. 34.1 had me. Gerard Thomas Hail Mary got 6.8, and Frank Gore's first down 13.6%. Of the vote. We'll get to De'Ami Brown here in a moment. Tomorrow, Tuesday, top five best free agent signings in Jacksonville Jaguar franchise history. Okay, not trade acquisition, not draft pick, not signings of I guess
undrafted.
How undrafted would count? Sure.
Okay.
Right. If they're a free agent of any kind, undrafted rookie, sure, that counts. Right. So any free agent signing that they made, like, for instance, James Robinson, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't drafted, had to sign him as a free agent, had one outstanding year. If that's enough for you to put him in your top 5, he would be eligible for that. So, all right, let's get to a little bit more audio here while we've got time. De'Ami Brown on what he felt led to his uptick in production at the end of the season for the Commanders.
First, I thank God for everything that happened throughout this past year. But I think timing-wise and what was going on and what was in the plan at the time, you say things happen for a reason. And I was just given the opportunity. And I had wanted to take advantage of the opportunity that was given to me. And I'm grateful for that.
A lot of people calling it like a breakout. He had a nice postseason. It was nice. There's a lot of projection going on, and I understand that in free agency.
Mm-hmm.
See a lot of receivers out there signing for $5 million, Tone. On a 2-year, $10 million deal. If it were that with De'Ami, the thing, look, if he has the breakout season, fantastic, $10 million, fine. But then you've got to renegotiate a new deal with him at that point.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't, was $10 million too much to pay De'Ami Brown? Only the way the season plays out is going to tell you. Looking at his game logs down the stretch last year, okay, this is the, quote, breakout for De'Ami Brown, okay? And keep in mind, this is a team that had Terry McLaurin and not a ton else there at receiver. Man, this computer is really, really killing my mojo right here. All right, here we go. De'Ami Brown, week 13, 4 catches for 35 yards. Week 14, 3 catches for 30 yards. Week 15, 4 for 56, which was his second high yardage game of the year. He had a 57-yard game earlier, and then 3 for 16. In the playoffs, however, 5 for 89, 6 for 98, and 3 for 42. I mean, I think breakout strong. This is one where I'm looking at, like, yes, he did have some production, but why did it take him 4 years to have that?
Right.
And why did it take him all season to have that on a team that didn't have many good options at the position that he plays? You know, I mean, I'm not saying it can't work. I'm just saying
they're betting.
It's fair to be skeptical.
Yeah, they're betting on whatever they saw in the player, that what you saw for that last month of the year is the beginning of something big, potentially for De'Ami Brown. That's fine. I don't mind them making that bet on the player if they feel that way about it, but I'm not all that confident, or I don't lack all that much confidence that they're right. I do not know. I have virtually no opinion on whether they're right or wrong on Brown.
Yeah, the whole thing has to be seen as the sum package, too. Like, right now, they've got some cap space. What are you going to do with that cap space if you're not going to sign any more free agents? Well, maybe they'll give a contract to Trayvon Walker, and in doing so, maybe they'll front load some of it.
Yeah, I do love the video that the Jags put out, right? And I don't know how much of that was for the camera, but they were pumped, right? Like, when they landed Brown,
I get it.
The room was really excited, or at least appeared to be, for the camera, really excited about landing De'Ami Brown. I hope they're right.
Yeah, that's what it comes down to, right? I hope that they are right because, you know, so far you're betting on a projection. And better to get a guy when he is getting ready to ascend than the opposite.
No problem with that.
And paying him for past production. But we'll find out. Time will tell if they're right on that gamble. We'll have a little bit more audio from last week as the week goes on here. Again, tomorrow, Tuesday, top five best free agent signings in Jacksonville Jaguar franchise history. You can think of several that will make the list right off the top of my head, but it'll all be in how we order and prioritize them. Our priority right now is welcoming in helmets and heels.
Now, the 2-minute drill. Service by Cool Cats Heating and Cooling. Locally owned and operated. We're your neighbors. CoolCatsJacks.com.
The coolest cats in town.
Hi, Lauren Brooks.
Hello.
You look tan. You look like you got some sun out there at the players.
I got sun in Puerto Rico to start. Yeah, I always get a little bit head start there. And then definitely lots of walking around last week. I did the tabulation, and then the 5 days that I went, 60,000 something odd steps. That's a lot of walking.
Every time someone mentions Puerto Rico, it makes me think of one of my favorite documentaries. I don't know if you've seen it. It was on Netflix for the longest time. Don't know if it still is. Called The Legend of Cocaine Island.
I have not.
Have you watched it, Dylan? It is phenomenal.
I'll have to watch it.
It is. I don't want to give it away. Like, basically, the legend is somebody found a bunch of cocaine washed up on the beach and buried it and left it there.
Okay.
Is it true? Is it not true? The whole time you're not really 100% sure, and it basically the whole story ends up in Duval and St. Johns County.
Oh.
It's like, what? This happened? Like,
fascinating.
Yeah, it's such a good documentary.
It's like Goonies, but with drugs, but Goonies didn't end up here.
Yeah.
At the end.
Or when you find out how much of a role Jacksonville had in, like, the McMillions thing. It was like this. The FBI here was what started that whole thing.
Here in South Carolina, we're like the hotbeds for the Monopoly thing. Yeah,
like every now and then something like that pops up, and you're like, oh,
that's a phenomenal documentary too.
Yeah,
by the way, I had no idea the plot of Goonies. Like,
you haven't seen Goonies?
I have when it came out in the movies, and I was a kid. Like, I didn't feel like that one needed a rewatch.
Okay, that was my favorite movie as a kid, so I can probably quote every line in it. It was such a good movie to me.
You're like, it's just like Goonies. I'm
yeah.
Like, how much drugs were in Goonies?
No,
I forget.
that's what I said.
Without the key, so you're like, that island matches that, so we're going that direction.
And they have to
that's where the gold is.
Yeah, and they have to save the neighborhood from developers. That's how it all starts. They need to find the treasure to save the neighborhood from developers.
I trust you.
And Cyndi Lauper's
your Goonies
song is in it. It's so good.
All right. I know a lot of people love Goonies. I'm not trying to crap on Goonies. I just haven't seen it in I'm going to guess 40 years.
I highly recommend watching it.
When
again
did Goonies
one day.
come out? Early 80s?
Probably early 80s, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Whenever it came out is when the last time I
Dylan,
saw
have you seen Goonies?
No, ma'am.
Oh,
Dylan's
my
probably never
goodness.
heard of Goonies.
Okay, y'all, one day, little movie sesh, the two of you.
I was watching. You ever see Mythic Quest? Tony, you would love this show. Right? Mythic Quest is on, what is it, Apple TV?
Yeah, I think it's Apple.
It's about a game company. Rob McElhaney it's about. He created this game called Mythic Quest, and it's all about how they work.
Okay.
And his number 2 basically doesn't get any references to Doc Brown from Back to the Future. And it's like every episode's basically got one. It feels like that. Just
Goes over
showing
that
you how
guy's
old.
head.
Takes you back.
Go over somebody's head. And then she did one. I was watching an episode yesterday. She did one to somebody. Anyway.
Yes.
Sports? Any
Yes.
Sports today?
All sports today. No documentary discussion.
Dang it.
Or talks about other TV shows, movies. We will chat about the Players' Championship, obviously, that finished this morning. Like you said, congratulations to Rory McIlroy.
Sorry, I was choking on whatever JJ I was choking on this morning.
I mean,
Come on.
it's a tough spot to be in if you're JJ Spawn.
All right, I give him a lot of credit for playing himself in there.
Yesterday, he missed the putt. To me, it's less about today and the choke
I don't
job
know,
at
man.
17. Make the putt yesterday, and you never go into the playoff.
The putt on 18?
Yeah.
That's not a gimme.
It's not, but you had a better chance of winning the tournament like that than to me you did in the playoff at all against Rory.
Don't hoist it into the water there.
Yeah, that was
Anyway.
rough, but yeah, it was a good effort by JJ Spawn. So we'll talk about the players. Gary Smits of the Florida Times Union will join us at 1:00, and we'll also talk some men's basketball now that we have an SEC tournament champion.
The focus on your region will be on St. John's, I take it, right?
It will be a little bit on St. John's.
And a little bit on Maryland. That's
absolutely.
understandable
Yeah,
as well.
Walter Clayton Jr. used to play for the head coach of St. John's.
Well, there you go.
There's a little connection.
All right. Have a great day.
Thanks so much,
Have a
y'all,
great
too.
show. LB, we love her. All right. Helmets and
Goonies.
Heels coming up next. And watch Goonies, people. I will not. But people like Dylan should at least give it a shot one time in their life. All right. That'll do it for us. Tuesday Top 5 tomorrow. Everybody have a great afternoon. For Tony Smith and Dylan Denmark, I'm Mike Dempsey. Thank you for listening to Jaguars Today on 1010X.